guys, welcome to Rootstem, and this is going to be one of the first videos I do regarding bases. And I've just knocked my pop. So the idea is just basically to show you guys how to do simple bases on your models to make them stand out. Bit more of a beginner's guide than anything else. And the reason I'm doing it is a lot of people do ask me about basing. What do you use for basing? You know, how do you base it? What do you use for the painting? Do you base it on or off? Do you have the model off? Do you have the model on? I'm going to be trying to answer as many of those questions as I possibly can. Now, first question I'm going to ask is the basing. Do you do it while the model is on or while the model is off? Personally, I do it while the model is on. Even though this demonstration is not going to be shown that way, I actually glue the model onto the base first and then do the base around them. The reason being is sometimes you can create a base. I've done it in the past where I've created the bases off and then I've been unable to put the figure onto the base properly and it just doesn't look right for me. So I always prefer to put the base on. You can also as well use some of the basing techniques as mud or other debris that's actually coming onto the legs of a jacket of the actual figure itself. So I'm going to start by, this is going to be my base. This is a standard, this is actually a new space, this is about the same size as the new Space Marine standard bases. And the reason I've got them is the little discs, is when the Sisters of Battle come out, I think they're going to be on slightly bigger bases. So all my old Sisters of Battle, I'm going to rebase them. I'm going to use that as well in another video. I've got a massive bag full that I managed to get from Red Vectors. Now what I'm going to show you first off is the material I use. Now I've actually got what I call my basing bag. This is an old school Forge World bag that I've just basically just sellotaped up to make sure there's no holes, and it's what I use for my basing. It's quite old as well. Now in here we've got a mixture of various different gaming materials. I've actually got some stuff from I think it's called Warhammer Gaming on Amazon, and this one was, sorry, my head just possibly going in the way there. This was just known as a Scenics tub, which has got some nice big bits and little bits in there. Now I've mixed that up with some sand, and this is just my standard sort of coarse basing material that I use for everything. There's little bits of wood chip and all sorts of different items in there. All I do is basically put PVA glue onto the base and then dip it in here. Now I do this before I actually spray the figures. The reason I do this before I spray the figures is that this will then be undercoated black or whatever undercoat colour, and I'm going to be painting on top, so I can then create whatever type of base I'm after. So this is really good. This is some good basic stuff for you to be able to do with whatever. You can create snow, you can create grasslands, you can create sort of like volcanic rock. It's a really good base mixture that can be applied to anything, which sometimes if you commission painting, it's nice to have a generic material you can use for everything. So I'm going to put some glue on there and we're going to cover it. So here it is, all sprayed black. And what I'm going to do is now coat it in Rhinox hide. Now I'm going to use an airbrush to coat this. That's because I'm lazy. You can use a brush, it does work well with brushes, just sometimes I think you've got to layer it on a little bit thick, in my personal opinion. So we're going to coat all of it in the Rhinox. This is see how quick that's gone on. Now if you are using an airbrush for this, let it dry and then do another pass, simply because when this dries it will be quite dark. People using brushes, just do the opposite of Duncan and put on one thick coat of that. So we've got our Rhinox hide nice and dry. We're just then going to dry brush this with some Scrag Brown. I know it's not a dry brush colour, but we are going to just get a large dry brush, or if you've got figures on there, a smaller dry brush if you need to be neat. And then Now I'm not going to get rid of all of this. I want it to be quite a heavy, what I would call a heavy dry brush. Sometimes some people call it an overbrush. And we're going to, so that the rocks on top are getting a really good dose of this. And again, not a dry brush as a dry brush, and we're talking quite heavy. So I want a lot of the paint to be transferred. Let's go wait for that to dry. Then, of course, the old school dry brush of Tyrant Skull. I'm saying old school. Just run that over the top. It's quite easy. Now, one of the final things we do is to put. Normally I use a brush for this, but I'm just going to put it straight on. We're going to put a bit of PVA in random spots. Just use the finger. These are not perfect bases, but it'll do. And then and just let that dry. And that's it. Done. Just make sure there's a black rim if you've got a bit of a thicker base. This, like I say, it's quite a thin piece of MDF that was been cut so we can stick other models on top. I'll be showing you how to do that once, like I say, the sisters come out. I am going to be doing a couple more vids just showing you how to use some of the other equipment that I use. I've got some of the texture paints from Workshop. I might even try and get hold of some resin. I've not done it for a bit, but I'll try and get hold of some resin to try and show you guys how to get that resin, you know, by little puddles that you can sometimes get in bases. That's always quite nice to do. You can, as an alternative to static grass, you can use little bits of what's known as like turf. So this stuff, and then you just stick that on. Some people prefer it. I don't like the tufts. I quite like the static grass simply because this type of base, this generic base that I've done, will fit upon 99% of people's boards. Even a bit, because it's got a tiny bit, it doesn't look brown, so it will actually fit on people's boards that have got a bit of a desert feel to it. They might fit on a board that's got a city feel to it, or of course, you know, a woodland feel to it. It will pretty much fit, apart from maybe the, you know, even the bright red boards actually. I've been at Warhammer World, and my figures have managed to sort of merge into it. It doesn't look too off the base. Right, thank you very much for watching, guys. Please like, share, subscribe, hit that notification button if you do want to see more. If you want to hit me up for any commissions, just go to my website, that's rootstem.co.uk. Just to make you aware, at the end of November, beginning of December, it may be down for a bit of maintenance. But you'll be able to, you'll still be able to get in touch with me via Facebook and via Instagram, which of course all the links should be popping up throughout this video. Right, thank you very much, guys. We'll see you next time.